actually on a rooftop of one of our clients. We think it's pretty important to show you what it looks like, what a rooftop looks like with cellular equipment and what you have to make sure that you pay attention to. So this is a multiple tenant roof. So the first thing is you obviously have your antennas. So that's what you're gonna have over here. And you see you got some different ones, but this is for one specific carrier. And then from there, you're gonna see the wires. They're gonna come over here. And these are the radios. This is actually what the signal ends up going into. And then that works its way around and actually starts to get processed and pushed out to the internet. So rather than, it's not a technical video, we won't get into that, a lot of it, but you'll see what all of these wires and all the infrastructure that's needed to make all of this work. Now this has multiple tenants on it, and if you turn around here, you'll see where the big housing units are over here. So this is where a lot of the equipment is housed as well. So you'll see all along the rooftop here, you'll see multiple different antennas, and that's because what it does is it's broadcasting everywhere. So this is acting essentially as a cell site, which are great. Rooftops, especially in high dense urban areas like this one, is really needed. But let me show you what you have to watch out for on rooftops very specifically in the way that they're structured. So the first thing that you'll see is you'll see some of these wires, right? So you have a couple different carriers here. So down here in this one, this is done the right way, right? So you have some type of piecing to keep it off. You have these metal ones. Now, if you come over here and look at this, this is done with wood. So this starts to rot and erode, and then you start to have problems. So when that happens, this metal starts to go down and it's actually in and sits on the actual roof itself. That's going to lead to problems. But you'll see the difference in the way that both of these are done. They constantly change. You'll hear 1G, 2G, 3G, 5G, soon to be 6G. And it's just the generations. Well, as that happens, the equipment has to change. So what you have is you have some really old equipment that's been up here for a really long time. Now the good news is that is off the actual roof itself, but that stuff should be removed by the contractor. And as you come over here, you're gonna see just these things laying around. And what's this the problem is that all it takes is for that to end up in this roof. Now you have a roof that leaks. So we don't want those things, right? So this is some of the stuff we just got up here. This is how we're finding this. This is part of the problem. So how do they mount these? Hopefully, if they do it right, they put some kind of additional sheeting at the bottom, and then that's all this is, just brick. That's how they kind of keep this down from the wind, knocking this thing over one way or the other. Now, we don't want to get in front of these things. It's some RF problems, so we're going to stay back here. But if you turn around and look at this, so you'll see some brown antennas here, and those brown antennas right there, that's a different carrier. So, but they tried to mask them to look just like the side of the building because it's brown. So that's what that looks like. But those are also radios, right? So now, here's where some of this really comes into play. This is huge. This is from the carriers. This is what they have up here. Now, the challenge with this is that's a lot of weight. And when you have that, you start to have what they call pooling. This used to have a very heavy shed. And even though it was up off the ground, eventually it started to wear itself down. And so that's why you have a lot of this pooling that's happening right here. So this leads to leaks. Now this roof itself, the owners try to repair this multiple times. This is basically a new roof and he's still getting this stuff pooling. And it's mostly because you could see where all that weight was put on. So when you take a lot of weight in a small area, you're tending to push down, you end up having that pulling area. So these still weigh a lot. These are still beams. So even though the majority of the stuff is gone, this is what you're left with. This could end up being a problem. In this particular case, it is definitely a problem. And so as we move over here, and this is why it's important to have maintenance done on these things from the carrier level and make sure that the terms and conditions are very specific, because if not, you start to have some of these issues, which we don't want. There's also antennas and equipment on the top there. The problem is, if you go to climb that, here's their safety cage. It's not where it's supposed to be, it's right here. So not only is it off, but it's been sitting here. It's been here for a while. So these are the type of things as a rooftop owner, you really have to think about before you say yes to anybody putting their equipment on your roof. And if not, make sure you talk to a professional about what they need to do when they change it, upgrade it, add additional equipment. All these things have to be taken in consideration, not just revenue. So we hope that you got a little bit out of this video on if you're a rooftop owner, if you've had problems, these are some of the things that you have. Give us a call, we can help you out with it. But more importantly, we love rooftops. They're great. Everybody needs to have adequate cell signals, but it has to be done right. So, till next time, this is Chris Bland from Cell Site Capital.